And it all depends on the person. But I feel like there's,
I mean, not to get very, self-helpy on you, but like, that's like what you're bringing to it. Like,
I definitely agree.
Just because you might not be as talented of a writer as that other person doesn't mean you can't be a successful writer. Doesn't mean you can't be popular. Doesn't mean you can't be successful. Doesn't mean you can't find a niche.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. I know I had a big part and a big with myself and telling myself that I couldn't do it. But like I said, also too, there are some like I said, it's just guidance. I feel like there's some guidance
I know what you're saying. It's just
lost in between, because there's a lot of us who still feel this way. There shouldn't be a lot of me feel this way. There should be some outliers who's
and Kenyon and I have talked about this a lot, but I think that's more on older generations than it is on colleges, because it's like, like you're saying, your parents, our parents, everyone's parents, sold us on a dream of college, of like, you go there, you get this experience, and you get a job, and
you'll eventually find the reality.
Yeah. That was the reality 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but that's not the reality now.
And I had to tell my mom the hard way. Like, I had to press, like, there was many times me and my mom butt heads within this past couple years, where I was like, Mom, like, this is not 1985 where you going to East Bay and you can just go, in and out, and it's a guaranteed foot in the door. Like, there's
you're black, you have a degree.
That's what I'm saying. There's way more many black people that are going out and getting a degree, and they're excelling, which I am proud of. You know what I mean? Like, that's representation at its finest. But at the same time, they see, like, okay, you have a degree out of a private school. What else can you contribute to? And I feel like it sucks, because it's like, goddamn, I feel like I already did enough and sold my fucking arm, leg, and my soul trying to pay for this institution, and I couldn't get the experiences that I wanted to, because I didn't know the people. Like, it's about who you know, so you couldn't get into certain internships because A, B, and C. You know what I mean? So, like, I wasn't able to shine as other people. So it's like, okay, so my degree is not enough, but you guys told us 5-10 years ago when we were in high school that this is what we needed. So, like, it's fucked up.
Which is one thing I will say. Like, I went through my little quarter life crisis, and honestly, I could write a fucking book on what I went through. But my thing, I went in knowing, like, okay, I'm coming from a junior college. I come from poverty, but I'm not like poor. But, like, we had enough growing up, but we also definitely didn't have disposable income all day, every day. My mom busted her ass, worked herself to the bone, for me and my siblings. But then I would look at people who came from two-parent homes and went to college, and when I got to CSUN, it was a culture shock for me. Like, being on my own. Like, at one point, I was homeless before I went to CSUN. So getting in and doing everything and realize, okay, these are all the resources that are available to you in college. But where are you and who are you when you get to college? Like, where are you at in adjacent to all the resources around you? Because I could teach you how to fish and then leave you stranded in the desert, and all you know how to do is fish, but there's nothing but desert. If you don't realize where you are and adjacent to the resources that you have and just how to make it work for you, then yeah, you're going to be kind of fucked.
I think that's part of it. And I think the other thing is, social media. I don't think anybody really understands, like, how much social media really impacts you. Like, especially from our generation, because it's just so native to us.
We created it, let's be honest.
We've grown up with. But it's much of, like you're saying, it's like, we're on these college campuses, we're supposed to be building our future, and we're just essentially being targeted with everything all the time, and it's like
we're the guinea pig generation.
And then nobody checks up on us because they think we're on our shit because we're in college and we're doing what we need to do. But the reality of the situation is, like, that's a time of a lot of discovery and uncertainty, and, like, unless you people who are in high places who can guide you, you don't have that guidance. You might find someone who's a little bit older than you, who might be your homie and might be able to, save you from some growing pains, but
some mistakes.
If you don't have someone who's like already in the field, you want like, and I think that's really the reset that you're talking about. Is like, it's not so much of a reset in terms of like you're just resetting. It's more of like you trying to figure out what college did to you and what you got out of it, and trying to figure out how you can apply it and get to where you want to get to.
It's like, it's basically that. And also too, on top of that, it's like, all right, here you go. You're out in the real world.
Exactly.
Now
you have no support. You have no insurance. You have
how are you going to do this?
You have no financial aid. You have no
kind of the fun part. Like, to an extent, me personally, I'm just fucking wired weird. Like, I like really hard challenge.
Stressful
like, my mom,
as hell for me.
Bro, we have like 30 things to talk about. We've been talking about this.
Well, because I think college.
It's scary. It's Halloween. We're talking about scary shit, Pete.
Yeah, scary shit.
That's true.
College.
Life is scary.
What's the scariest sports injury you've ever seen? Aside from mine, it was definitely Marcus Lattimore.
Paul George.
No, actually, no, Willis McGahee.
Gordon Hayward.
Wait,
I actually cried when I saw Willis McGahee get hurt.
Is this NFL or is it all around?
Just in sports in your life. What's the worst, scariest shit you've ever seen?
Was he playing for the Warriors at the time? Who was the one that when he was out for a while because he fucked up his knee?
Sean Livingston?
Yes.
Actually, that's up there too.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I got really sad when I saw that.
He retired, right?
No, he's still playing. He's a free agent though.
Oh, okay.
But like, yeah, I think what kind of spurring this conversation, I'm glad it finally came up because I think we've never all really talked about college and what it's done to us all at one time. But we didn't play sports. Like me and Pete played football in high school, but
I ran track for a little bit, but that was like literally I walked on and then after I was like, fuck this.
And you realize like covering sports and seeing athletes who lived on the floor below me or the dorm next to me and talking to them and realizing like they're using this to get them to where they want to go.
And it's so sad at Whittier. Do you know how many? Do you know how many?
I'm saying is like.
Do you know how many football players at Whittier thought they were going to go to the NFL? They're like,
they're
going to get drafted. No. Yeah,
that's JUCO. And
dude,
like,
no, they're D3. I showed you Whittier's record. Shit. And they still thought that some way, somehow, they're going to get scouted by.
Shout out to Camino College,
people. But
that whole process is
like I said,
what's
Pete,
starting the conversation.
I'm going to send you my alma mater's football record, and then you will understand why.
No, I know those cats. Like, I knew people who went to Occidental. I know people at Laverne. Like, they all think the same way.
Redwood.
Not Whittier. Whittier is shittier. That's what we called it. Shittier.
They might play in the same league. All three.
They play in the same league, but Oxy and them used to whoop our ass all the time.
XFL.
Like half my coaches went to Redlands.
RIP to what's that one college?
But that's what I'm saying is like what you're saying. Like, right? How many athletes do we know at CSUN who are really struggling right now?
A lot.
Not that many, bro.
A couple.
Not that many.
A couple.
Not many. Because here's the thing.
I will agree with you.
Not many.
Because CSUN is chill.
Because here's the thing, right?
There's some poor motherfuckers in the dorms, though.
You have to understand, it's like, okay, when I graduated college, I graduated with a Benz behind. Like, a Benz in debt.
You said bands behind. I was like, wait, can I get that on the shirt?
You got a Benz.
I owe the state of Benz. Right, so I'm down a Benz that I don't drive. That's the way I think about
Benz.
it.
Okay, I was like, wait.
You said the
I thought
second
you said
time.
Bands. I was like,
no, like a
No, I
like
thought he said Benz,
car.
but I thought he was saying like I graduated with the Benz behind me. I was like, damn.
But those athletes are graduating without that.
With nothing.
Without that.
Which now that I think about it,
you can stretch like 30 grand stretches a lot farther when you aren't paying Sally Mae 30% of that.
Which goes back to my point of like, if I just had resources, I don't think I would have ever needed college.
And like, that's why
kind of start my own business.
And that's why athletes. That's why. That's
a lot of us are
talking about athletes. That's why it's like, yeah,
but it's a free market society, and I want them to succeed. Like, if I'm covering athletes, and I'm like, bro, get your bag. Like, why else do you think they got fucking Carmelo Anthony shooting in this gym and putting it on social media? Like, get the bag.
Yeah, so for sure. They should still be able to participate in the free market economy, but I don't think that necessarily means that they have to get paid.
I don't see that
for their school
working. There's too many mouths to feed.
I don't think they should get paid for their school, but I do think that these brands
they should be able to make
build,
money off of themselves.
They should definitely,
if you become a millionaire,
definitely make money off of them, no doubt.
If you're a walk-on at Alabama or Clemson and you become a YouTube star and make millions, the NCAA should be able to say shit and tell you got to pick and choose for your eligibility, like they did that punter who lost his eligibility and is still banned from UCF and can't even go back and get his college degree. But he's out here making money and making moves, and he was out there racing with the Paul brothers in a 40-yard dash. But that's what I'm saying. Like, allow them to maximize their athleticism on and off the field.
Yeah.
But don't sit up here and tell me that they're not employees and that they can't enjoy the free market society. Now you're just pissing in my cereal saying it's orange juice.
But yeah, and the advice I always give college students is if I had to go back and do it again, I would start a business. That's the only thing I would change.
I would have done coding. I would start a business.
You look like I thought you said major in business. I was like, you look like you'll be a business major.
No, fuck no.
Business law.
That's like the worst degree you can get besides journalism.
Yeah, I took a business ethics class and I was like, fam, there's no ethics in business. Why are you telling me
I feel like
this?
the English degree is by far the worst.
I heard it's humanities.
Those are like the top three.
Sometimes psychology.
No.
Those are literally like
psychology's up there.
No.
Those are like literally the top three.
English is up there. English,
it's just
psychology,
the thing about business, journalism, English, they don't have a direct path, right? It's not like getting nursing or
STEM,
going and teaching, or even going in engineering. Like, there's a path. Like, you can do anything.
Finance is cool.
You could, in theory, do anything with an English degree. You could, in theory, do anything with a journalism degree. You could, in theory, do anything with a business degree. So that makes it.
You need resources to add to that.
It makes it a big net. Like, there's so many different ways you can go, but there's no guarantee to go anywhere. So a lot of people have those degrees and they're just working in non-related fields. But that's why I always say it's a good experience to start a business because, one, like, you're in school, so you already like, you have time, and you could spend that time fucking around. You could spend that time building business. You're going to learn about business. You're going to build up context. You might build a platform. And who knows? You might become a YouTuber. You might become an entrepreneur. You might do whatever you want to do.
I know a couple people who started businesses.
But the risk is lower. The risk is lower because you're a student. Nobody expects money from you. Nobody expects anything from you. So anything you do give is a plus.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would do differently if I went back to college. And that's usually what I tell people is whatever you want to do, just start doing it right now.
I will go back to college and tell myself, don't spend that money on those trash eighths. This is just trash. You're just smoking shit weed. I've been talking to my friends back there.
Yeah, you ain't in the topic now. You killed the whole
had
combo.
All that goodwill for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's the best segment you ever did.
Ever in the history of radio for you.
I'm serious.
I wouldn't have bought an eighth at Whittier and watched the shitty football team.
I would have traveled my ass all the way out here to get an eighth. Fuck that. I was sitting here thinking I was big shit.
That's actually pretty smart.
Buying quarters for $60, realizing it's just fucking stress weed. And here I am walking around like, I got weed. I got loud. No.
You couldn't even afford the Reggie. You bought some edgy.
All right, man. We're cutting your football spot because we already did a lot of college football.
I mean,
yeah.
Did I talk about everything in that list?
I mean, we talked about like 3 out of the 5
that
Chase
Young might win the Heisman. He has 13.5 sacks. And he's the first defensive player since Ndamukong might win.
So to speak through this,
what else?
I'm going to make it a special edition of Trick or Treat. You can tell me if it's a trick. You can tell me if it's a treat.
There's no Halloween. What's the thing? Yeah. No.
That was crickets.
No, the other one. That one we always use. The blue one. Yeah.
Oh,
Trick or
treat.
Halloween
sound? That's the perfect one.
That's the perfect one. Halloween. Come on.
All right, my bad.
That was hard. That was dope.
All right, first up. Cincinnati Bengals officially bench Andy Noodle Arm founder Dalton.
TCU quarterbacks suck.
Is that a trick or is that a treat?
That's a trick because they benched him on his birthday, October 29th.
Grimy.
And he's owed like $17.5 million. But, Zach Taylor was a great pick for head coach. He was a trash college quarterback. At Nebraska. Like, why would I ever listen to anybody who played football at Nebraska other than Tommy Frazier?
AJ Green said, either sign me to a long-term deal or let me go. Is that a trick or a treat?
That's a treat.